security remains an imperative. And it is why we reiterate with clarity and conviction the urgent necessity of reforming global peace and security governance, particularly the United Nations Security Council. It is both indispensable and unconscionable that a continent of nearly 1.5 billion people, represented by 54 sovereign states and constituting one of the largest blocs within the United Nations, continues to remain excluded from permanent representation on the Security Council.
There
is a single continent that must be respected as such and carry this agenda. This means for us to be alongside you in order to be better represented in financial institutions, but also UNWANs. I subscribe to everything President Ruto has said. France defends this agenda of an Africa present on the United Nations Security Council. Just as we fought for the African Union to have its permanent seat at the G20 a few years ago, and we obtained it.
Ahead of the summit, Macron defended France's significantly reduced military presence on the continent, saying French troops leaving wasn't a humiliation but a logical response to a given situation. None of the leaders of the three countries are attending the summit. While Kenya and France are both seeking economic gains from co-hosting the summit, Paris additionally strives to show its relevance on the continent at a time when other powers such as China, Russia and Turkey are gaining influence. For many younger Kenyans, France is associated as much with retail, fashion and food as it is with geopolitics, a stark contrast with the sentiment in many of its former colonies. Meanwhile, Kenya's government is looking for investment in infrastructure, renewable energy and technology. French companies are already involved in transport, retail and energy projects in the country, and officials hope the gathering will unlock even more investment.
Well, this latest trip by the French president is demonstrative of a change that we've seen in France's foreign policy when it comes to the continent of Africa. France's traditional sphere of influence has been in Francophone nations like Mali and Guinea and Senegal and Mauritania. But we have seen the French president start to pivot to Portuguese-speaking countries like Angola and other Anglophone nations as well, like Kenya, where he is at the moment for the Forward Africa Summit, in terms of changing the broader outlook for France when it comes to business and commercial and diplomatic opportunities in Africa towards more English and Portuguese-speaking nations. Ross Cullen, WION, Paris.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will legally challenge a report that has paved the way for Parliament to consider impeachment proceedings against him over the theft of large sums of cash from his private farm. A constitutional court ruling last week found that Parliament acted unconstitutionally when it voted against establishing an impeachment inquiry against Ramaphosa regarding the Fala Fala report in 2022. Kalden Ongmu has more details.
South Africa's top court overturned a vote in Parliament that quashed the opening of impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa over a $4 million cash heist scandal. Ramaphosa is accused of hiding from police and tax authorities, a 2020 break-in and theft of large sums of foreign currency, allegedly stashed in furniture at his luxury Fala Fala farmhouse in the northern Limpopo province. An independent panel later said that he may have committed serious violations and misconduct. But Parliament, then controlled by his African National Congress party, declined in 2022 to open impeachment proceedings that could have forced him from office.
The National Assembly's vote must likewise be set aside because it was taken under an invalid rule that prevented the National Assembly from properly determining whether a ground for impeachment existed. The vote, therefore, lacked a lawful foundation. By a majority, concludes that the report must be referred to the impeachment committee.
Ramaphosa, a wealthy businessman before becoming president in the year 2018, has acknowledged that there was a break-in at the farm, but said that thieves stole $580,000 worth of money that he said came from the legitimate sale of buffalo. He has denied any wrongdoing and has never been charged with a crime. An independent panel set up by Parliament previously found evidence suggesting that Ramaphosa may have committed misconduct, triggering calls for impeachment.
Since a criminal complaint was laid against me in June 2022, I have consistently maintained that I have not stolen public money, committed any crime, nor violated my oath of office. I remain here and am not resigning. May God continue to bless South Africa and protect her people.
The court decision followed a complaint lodged by the radical left-wing Economic Freedom Fighters Party. The ANC's main coalition partner, the Democratic Alliance, has said that it would participate fully in any impeachment proceedings and would not prejudge their outcome.
The DA is upfront as to where we stand. Any political party that believes in fairness and the rule of law and that no one is above the law would support such a position where if the president is guilty of anything, that he should be held accountable. However, there must be a process that unfolds.
We cannot wait for any longer. We've been waiting for too long now. The impeachment process must kick in with immediate effect, and that's what we are going to demand.
The ruling is likely to heap fresh pressure on Ramaphosa and the ANC, which has been shedding support over unmet policy pledges and persistent accusations of corruption and weak governance ahead of municipal elections on November 4th.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has made it clear that he has no intention of resigning amid growing calls for him to step down over the Phala scandal. Speaking last night while addressing the nation, Ramaphosa said he would take the independent Section 89 panel report on review and would continue cooperating with all institutions mandated to investigate the matter. Opposition party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, also known as the EFF, said it would legally challenge Ramaphosa's decision to seek a judicial review, arguing that the move is an attempt to frustrate and delay a parliamentary inquiry. Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance, the second largest opposition party, warned that Ramaphosa's application to review the Section 89 panel report must not be used to delay Parliament's work. This is Colonial from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.
Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi opened the doors to a possible third term following a constitutional referendum and to a postponement of the presidential election scheduled for 2028 in the DRC. In power since 2019, Tshisekedi will reach the end of his second 5-year term in 2028. The Congolese constitution sets the limit at 2 presidential terms. Here's a report.
Monsieur Tshisekedi Tshilombo Félix Antoine.
Congo President Felix Tshisekedi said on May 6, 2026, he would serve a third term if voters asked him to, and warned that persistent fighting in the country's east could make it impossible to hold the next presidential election on time in 2028.
I did not seek a third term, but I am telling you, if the people want me to have a third term, I will accept. For me, if there is to be any change, revision, or whatever needs to be done, it will never be without consulting the population, the Congolese people. That is to say, through a referendum.
Congo's constitution currently limits presidents to 2 terms. Tshisekedi said any change would require a constitutional revision approved by referendum. Tshisekedi's remarks represent his most direct engagement with the emerging debate over term limits, after months of increasingly vocal calls from members of the ruling Sacred Union coalition to amend the constitution and allow him to stay in power beyond 2028. Tshisekedi, the son of veteran opposition leader Etienne Tshisekedi, was re-elected in December 2023 for a second term. He first floated the idea of revising the constitution in late 2024, arguing that the current charter was largely drafted by foreign legal experts and required updating without explicitly addressing presidential term limits. Opposition leader Martin Fayulu, head of the Engagement for Citizenship and Development Party, speaks out against a possible third term for Central African nation's President Felix Tshisekedi. Fayulu says Tshisekedi is continuing the war in the east of the country in order to remain in power beyond 2028, which marks the end of the 2 terms provided for in the constitution.
Felix Tshisekedi wants to cling to power by defying the Congolese people, but we say to ourselves that he does not have the ability to defy the Congolese people, because in 2028, if there is no election, then in January 2029 he must go, and we will do everything as we did with Kabila. We prevented Kabila from serving a 3rd term. We will also prevent him, Felix Tshisekedi, from having a 3rd term.
The debate over a possible constitutional revision is unfolding against the backdrop of continued insecurity in the east, where the AFC M23 coalition, a rebel group backed by Rwanda, controls large swathes of territory, including the major cities of Goma and Bukavu. Rwanda has denied accusations by the United Nations and Western governments that it supports the insurgents. Fighting has continued despite mediation efforts by the United States and others.
If we can't bring this war to an end, unfortunately, we won't be able to hold the elections in 2028. But it won't be because they refuse to organize them. The resources are there. We can do it. We are certainly not going to hold them without North and South Kivu.
Congo experienced a prolonged political crisis under former President Joseph Kabila after he delayed elections beyond the end of his mandate in 2016, sparking deadly protests and international condemnation. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
It is often described as Africa's biggest night in film and fashion. Celebrities, filmmakers and creators arrived at the 12th edition of the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards in Nigeria with dramatic trains, sculptural gowns, shimmering fabrics and heavily theatrical designs that once again transformed the event from an awards show or ceremony into a spectacle of fashion.
In Lagos, Nigeria, the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards marked its 12th edition on May 9th, celebrating its brightest stars on the continent and honoring excellence across 32 award categories.
The winner is
The star-studded ceremony in Lagos showcased African cinema's growing continental reach. This year's theme, honoring craft, celebrating culture, highlighted the award's focus on recognizing both technical excellence and African cultural storytelling. The red carpet remained the ultimate stage for artistic expression, where celebrities used fashion to push boundaries, honor tradition, and spark viral conversations that trended across the globe. In a night defined by reimagined fashion, no outfit sparked more debate or jaw-dropping reactions than the infamous bread dress. The ensemble featured a structured bodice and skirt meticulously adorned with real loaves of bread. The look served its purpose as a piece of performance art.
We started on a very small scale, but today you take a flight from Washington, D.C. You can watch all Nigerian movie for the next 12 hours, 13 hours. And there will be good movies that will teach you lessons and show you that there's been an upgrade in our innovations, technology, and so on. So kudos to Africa, kudos to everybody who has engineered this process.
The men's fashion at this year's ceremony proved that the standard black tux is officially a relic of the past. African leading men embraced a regal renaissance, blending traditional silhouettes with modern tailoring. Kemi Omotosho, Chief Executive Officer of MultiChoice Nigeria, said this year's ceremony featured expanded nominations from across Africa. The ceremony also honored movie veterans with the Industry Merit Award. Veteran Nigerian actor and lawyer Kanoyo O. Kanoyo was one of the honorees.
AMBC is always a defining moment. We keep saying it's a full circle moment and we're celebrating the craft. There's so much energy. But for this year, what is so special is we're taking bolder stories, right? We're going with more nominations and we see a lot of nominations across Africa. So we keep saying AMBC is not about Nigeria, it's about Africa. With the nominations across Africa, it gives us the skill. We do want to take African story to the globe. And the way we can do that is more nominations coming through from the different countries in Africa so that we can authentically tell the African story in a confident way.
The red carpet drew numerous celebrities including Nigerian-American actress Osas Ighodaro and filmmaker Toyin Abraham. Africa Bureau WION World is One.
All right, we're still in Nigeria, but this time we're going to talk about their music. Afrobeat star Tiwa Savage, a prominent, multi-talented figure in Nigeria's music industry, is banking on her fame to foster the next great artist or producer or even a songwriter with her newly established foundation in Lagos. As part of the initiative, she's partnering with the famed US-based Berklee College of Music, which for the first time is offering a program that brings the school's teaching style to the Nigerian music scene.
The multi-talented Savage, a prominent face in Nigeria's flourishing music scene, recently brought together 100 young aspiring artists selected from 2,000 applications for instrumental workshops, vocal coaching, and masterclasses on the inner workings of the music industry. The group is the first cohort of her newly established music foundation. Savage is partnering with the prestigious Berklee College of Music in the United States, where she studied around 2 decades ago.
So my legacy is to create this foundation, to be the founder of it. But in many years to come, when I'm no longer here, I'm praying that a recipient of this foundation will be the next Michael Jackson, the next Quincy Jones, the next Wizkid, the next, next great artist or producer or songwriter.
Born in Lagos 46 years ago as Tiwa Tope Omolara Savage and raised partly in Britain, she established herself in the early 2010s after returning to Nigeria. She is one of the most influential female voices in Afrobeats, a genre that has attracted a global audience by blending traditional African rhythms with contemporary pop sounds with its roots in Nigeria. Vocal drills, musical notes, and frequent peals of laughter echoed from the classrooms where Berklee tutors worked with the students. If Afrobeats is to match the staying power of R&B or rock and roll, Savage believes the entire ecosystem needs to become more professional.
You can have a great song, but you need a great producer, a great radio plugger, a great marketing person to get the song out to the rest of the world. So that's what this foundation is doing. It's just giving them the tools. They have the talent already. It's just giving them the tools of how to compete in the global market, not the local market.
Several young artists have already caught the attention of the Berklee professors who came to Nigeria to teach. After their concert at the National Theatre in Lagos, 18 students received scholarships to Berkeley with a total value of $2.1 million.
It has been a really great opportunity. Of course, meeting with the Berkeley team who are really good. They're professionals, and at every moment, at every turn, there's always something to learn. So it's really exciting, it's really spontaneous, and it's challenging. And from this whole experience, I'm already gaining a lot, and I hope to use every single minute to gather as much knowledge as I can to help me grow as an artist.
Savaj's foundation provides the training for free, and she hopes that will also make it accessible to people from other African countries. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of World of Africa. Your feedback is always welcome. Find us on YouTube and social media. I'm Eric Njoka. Goodbye, Africa.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy.